Analogy Central. This video is inspired by a conversation I had with a creationist about 2 weeks ago. I've been thinking about it, mulling over it. Basically, this guy, I just latched onto this guy in a creationist versus evolution chat room, and he was, I mean, you can imagine the sorts of remarks that were being made, but he seemed as if he was at least curious. So I replied to what was a fairly easy question for anyone with any science to answer. And he replied, that doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense that aliens landed on Earth and put us here rather than evolution. Makes no sense. So I expounded on my points and explained it a little more clearly, thinking, I've won that argument. That's one creationist who's going to go away with a couple of sentences of my wisdom, and he's going to see the light, so to speak. And he came back very, very quickly and said it made no sense. You know, why doesn't primitive life form all around as if it's that easy? Well, it isn't that easy. The conditions now are totally different. The sorts of life that arise out of the original conditions could not have coped with oxygen, which is an extremely poisonous reactive gas and would kill any of the ultra primitive microbial life instantly. Owned, I thought. He came back, makes no sense. And I tried another couple of times, and each time, to his frustration and to mine, he came back and said it makes no sense. And I think to anyone with a reasonable amount of science, not too much, no, not qualification level science, just a basic understanding, would have said that it did make sense, what I was trying to say. But he thought not. It was as if we were talking different languages. And yet he was intelligent. And trying to equate the fact that he was intelligent, that I was taking time over my points, yet he was coming back and saying it made no sense, made me think a lot. And I realised that this particular creationist was being absolutely honest with me. To him, it made no sense. After all, what had I given him? In those brief exchanges, I'd probably given him half a dozen scientifically accepted facts, pretty much unrelated. I mean, we breathe oxygen. Oxygen is good for us. Oxygen can't kill anything. What a stupid thing to say. And what's oxygen got to do with microbes? They came out of the primordial soup. What's oxygen got to do with that? And it goes on. So I tried to think of what the problem was, and the problem is obviously that it takes more than 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. It takes more than that number of facts. And how do you get those facts into somebody's head if they're not listening? So, I'm recording this video really as a reference video that I might use from time to time when talking with theists who want to at least look at science. And what I want to say in this video is that when you first encounter science, whether it's in a conversation with me or anybody else, or bless you if you allow me to recommend a book to you and to read that. When you read a book or watch a TV program or read a magazine or get into a long conversation with someone who's trying to talk to you about science and explain how science works, you'll be lost if you expect to understand. You won't understand to begin with. And my analogy to explain this particular difficulty is what I shall be calling from now on the jigsaw effect. And the reason I call it the jigsaw effect is because I've tried to cast my mind back to what it was like when I was younger, and I believed in a lot of rubbish when I was younger. You name it, I believed it, and I got a spooky feeling while I was believing it. But that changed somewhere along the line, and I can't tell you exactly what it was, but looking back on the process of learning, facts, scientific facts, are like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. When you engage someone who's into science, all they can do is give you pieces of the puzzle. You don't know how many pieces there are. You don't know what the picture in the puzzle looks like. You don't know which pieces fit to which pieces. You've just got a jumble of jigsaw pieces in front of you with no hope of ever making them fit. But you don't have to make them fit. You just keep collecting them. That's what you do. That's what happened to me. I didn't really go looking for it, but in my head I was collecting them. And if you keep collecting, there'll come a point where the jigsaw will self-assemble in your head. It might take 100 facts. It might take 200. It might take 300. But there'll be a moment when all of those jigsaw pieces automatically assemble. You won't have to try and make the picture. The picture will suddenly appear to you. And when you see it, something will change. I'm not going to exactly describe how that feels, but it's rather like living in a world of ghosts and demons, and suddenly they are all gone. And it is a weight that lifts. I wasn't particularly religious, but I still remember the moment when everything self-assembled. Some critical fact hit me, and I got it. So what I'm saying is, don't expect to understand science to begin with. Just keep collecting facts, and they will self-assemble as and when the time comes. Don't be put off. Stick with it. And by this I solve all the world's problems.